They have like 100 some odd items on their agenda and move through it in about 30 minutes.
Well, you know, we used to live in California. It's a job. LA City Council. They're paid. I mean, I think almost 100,000.
Yeah, we're going to get started. Gilbert. Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can get locked up.
We can hook you up with that. All right. No microphones tonight? All right, we'll call this meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. Almost. The judge is about to enter. Declare quorum. All members are present. And we'll stand. We'll rise now for the Pledge of Allegiance and an invocation. You want to do the invocation tonight, sir? All right, we'll do the pledge and then I'll you. Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Show, you want to?
Father, we thank you. We thank you for this day that you have made, that we shall rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you for this gathering. We thank you for this meeting. We ask, oh God, that your presence reside with us. We ask, oh God, that you give us the instructions, the direction, and the wisdom. We ask, oh God, that you strengthen the council members and that you continue to bless the city of Bartlett, Texas, and the community within. We give you all praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Citizen communication. There was no one who had signed up by 7 p.m. Do you have anybody on email?
No, sir.
No sign-ups. Moving on. Boards and commissions and committees. Presentations, proclamations. Item number 1, Cemetery Committee monthly update.
Yes, I got an update from Superintendent Kathy Jones. The Cemetery Committee met this past Friday at the Bartlett Activity Center. The group decided to go ahead with selling plots as soon as the families whose lots were resold are replaced. Very few came forward as a result of the Tribune Progress articles and ads placed in the paper. Larry Grigsby showed the group markers he had found that could serve as temporary markers at a price of $36 for $297. Mr. Gail Jones said he would put the sandblasting of the cemetery fence and replacing the directory back on the agenda in the coming months, hopefully in February. And the new committee members will be sworn in tonight. And moving forward, the committee has decided to start working on rules and regulations for the cemetery in the coming months.
Thank you. Anything to add, Ms. Jones? Nope. All right. Perfect. Item 2, Tyner Memorial Library Board monthly update. Ms. Susan not here?
Pull those up for you. All right, the library for December had 81 total visitors, 5 new patrons, 67 books checked out, 7 computer lab usage, 2 book clubs. For the DVD sale, they made $170.50. That's pretty great. They had, I believe, 18 in attendance for a nativity reading, and there were a cumulative 122 volunteer hours and 55 hours from our newest addition to the library via the AARP program, AP Mitchell. And I had an opportunity to meet Mr. AP. He's a solid gold gentleman, and we're very happy to have him helping at the library.
Can you explain real quick to the new ones that don't know about the AARP program, exactly what that is?
AARP program, basically, if we follow older, recent applications, you can actually apply to work with a vetting process. For different jobs that we have, nonprofit organizations, cities, so forth and so on, that AARP will pay minimum wage of 22 hours a week for that person, and they take care of insurances and everything for them. So, each different AP visuals at the library, basically.
MDD.
At the time,
MDD.
available there, doing a superb job, really a great gentleman, and I've had more of those kind of opportunities, and more positions can be up in the city through that, so it's a, somebody who can use some extra money, or at least
In December. Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Moving on, Municipal Development District monthly update, MDD.
I don't believe the MDD met in the month of December, but their next meeting will be tomorrow, and we'll have an update on their business at the next meeting.
Parks and Facilities Committee monthly update.
basically, last week we talked about the slam and everything that we did, that's all taken care of. We've done some, minor repairs to the library. We have requested air conditioning and heating unit in there, what we had, usually more. I took care of that. We added lighting to the library, which basically was called a wall pack, which you'll drive by the library. Very nicely illuminated down the sidewalk, parking lot, the back, the east side of it, which helps with security and also helps attract more usable space. Our kitchen back here has been completed as far as our break room area, which we'll get a chance to have some, we got some snacks back here after a while. And then also the renovation of the old city council offices up here are probably 85–90% done with it now. It's going to be really nice. We were able to salvage a lot of the old original building and bring it back to life. New floor in there, new air conditioning, heat. We're going to be doing some suspended seating, some new lighting, so we're looking very forward to getting that up and functional, and we're going to start working our way this direction with different and kind of freshening that up and bringing it back and making it representative.
Perfect. Anything else to add?
No, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Weaver, for those updates. I believe we will move item number 5 and number 6 to the 8 o'clock hour.
We're waiting for the item 6, the citizen that we recognize. She will not be available till 8 o'clock today. And I believe Mr. Grant's family won't be present till 8 o'clock either.
Correct. So we're going to skip on down to the consent agenda. Item number 7, receive monthly department reports. Mr. J, City Administrator.
Had quite a few meetings in the month of December. We attended the emergency operation plan in Giddings for the electric utility. It's a requirement of the PUC. We started the utility rate study with Texas Rural Water Association. We kicked that project off, so we had that kickoff meeting. We had a update on the subdivision development on the south side of town. It's still in the development stage, but as soon as we have another concrete development to discuss with council, we'll put that on the next available agenda. We received the utility poles for the fiber internet project. So our next step is to meet with the co-op, our linemen, and start mapping out where exactly those poles are going. And once we figure that out definitively, which will include the locates and everything associated with it, we'll have a more accurate timeline for completion. And right now our target date is sometime in February or March to go live with fiber internet in our downtown district. Pretty exciting. We attended the Williamson County Commissioners Court meeting on December 20th, and the Commissioners Court approved the city's subrecipient agreement for our Clark Street lift station project, and that was approved. So we just submitted those reimbursements, and pretty much going out on the administrator side.
City Secretary?
The May 2023 election, the candidate filing period is next week. So you'll start seeing those notices go out, or that advertisement go out. The closing period is in mid-February. That's going to be the May 2023 election. Since this is an off year, we will not be having a joint election, to my current knowledge, with the county or the state. So those years tend to be lower turnout, and a little bit more costly because we don't have a cost sharing initiative with it. But as we'll discuss further on in the agenda, there may be more than just council seats on the ballot this year. There might be one or two other items.
Perfect. Municipal Court did not meet this month.
No, sir. No, sir. No court was held this month. The next court date will be January 24th, in which we'll be having a trial and regular court. And one quick interesting note about our municipal judge, Mr. Scott Matthews. I believe he was just appointed to a state board by Governor Abbott. Do you recall what the exact title was? Something related to the juvenile.
Yeah, juvenile. He's like the director of juvenile services in the state of Texas.
So a statewide appointment, and we're very, very proud to be associated with Mr. Matthew and everything that he's done for our community.
Appointed by the governor. So it's pretty awesome. Really, really well deserved. Super rock solid, gold star kind of guy. I mean, he's an awesome guy. Anything else?
No, sir.
Development services?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Typically, Decembers are relatively slow due to the holidays. So we didn't have as many permits this month or this past month, but we did have a lot of inquiries, a lot of scheduling of inspections and so forth. We did get $560 in permit fees, 830 expenditures for ATS, and we completed several taps for water and sewer. We have 6 permits pending review, of which 4 are commercial and 2 are residential, and 14 ATS inspections completed with 15 inspections in the queue. So relatively, even though we didn't issue as many permits, we're still busy on the permit front. And it just takes driving down Clark Street on the other side, and you'll see plenty of activity going on with some of these renovations. It's exciting.
Yes, sir. Utility billing?
Let's see. We did 179,000 in total utility billing, 728 paper bills, 223 e-bills, 1 new resident, 5 disconnects, and 31 households on payment plans. When we were updating the most recent billing cycle, there was an issue with the internet during our renovations, and so folks were not able to access their updated online billing portal. So we've just been navigating that on a case-by-case basis, but we're hoping to have that resolved on the next billing cycle for next month.
Oh yeah, y'all were the ones that pointed that out to us. Public Works.
The guys have been very, very busy working on sewer issues, in part from the holidays, family gatherings, grease cookouts. That's been a lot of the issues that we've been seeing. If you monitor the city's Facebook page, you saw there was a post recently with the mop heads that have been into the sewer system. And I actually got a chance I was there with the guys.
Justin dissected one.
I did. I put on some gloves and I started dissecting it. And it looks like a mop head, but it's an accumulation of rags. It's like shop towels, floss, hair, all kinds of fun stuff like that. So across the city sewer system, those things can accumulate and cause issues in sewer backups and things like
And
that.
other duties.
And other duties.
And other duties.
That's right.
Yes.
So, yeah, I had gloves. I double glove. Yeah. But yeah, so it's good to see what our guys deal with in the field, and you get a deeper sense of appreciation for how hard they work for us.
Yeah, for sure. Cold weather too, as grease goes down the lines. It's just unstoppable. It happens. But the cold weather is just grease freezes up those lines, and then it starts blocking up, backing up, and they'll blow out chunks of grease like looks like Crisco, you know, that's like this big long. Doesn't go on drains, people. Keep it out of the drains, please. It's like every day this last 2 weeks they've called me about a sewer issue there. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? It's the cold weather. I mean, it really is. Mr. Police, Chief of Police.
In December, I completed the annual forfeiture report to the Texas Attorney General. Due to the road arrest, Super's money, it increased from 600 to 4,620. The total of Super's 4,367, which that is a 64 split of Bell County and 350 currently, I'm working on the racial profile report, which I will submit to the council. In patrol, it goes from priority one to priority one is dangerous situation. Get there. Priority four is officer. But priority one, it was 6 calls. Priority two, 23 calls. Priority three, 62. Priority four, 15. 6 calls of service. In investigations, we have currently about 6 investigations that we're working. 3 has already been issued warrant, and 2 are unfortunately aggravated assault.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Thank you, guys. And I believe today is correct me if I'm wrong, is today National Law Enforcement Day, Appreciation Day. Guys, I just want to say personally, thank you all for everything you do. It's always, I mean, you guys keep us safe in the city. You do a good job, and it's always low key behind, you know, I mean, there's not a whole lot of publicity, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not, in other words, we don't see everything that you have to go through every day. Unless I'm on the phone with you and you're in the middle of a foot pursuit. And I'm like, Chief, you forgot to hang up the phone when you took off running. And then I had to go check on my chief. But yeah, I mean, the citizens don't see your day-to-day duties, what's going on in the streets. And I applaud you for that, for one. And I applaud you for everything that you guys do. Bartlett is a fairly safe community. And we like to keep it that way. And we certainly appreciate you guys. And you guys work hard. I know Hernandez isn't here, but we've got Corporal Clayton here. We got Officer Swacky here. These are two of your 3 officers, and you got Chief Holt here. And these guys, you guys really do deserve some recognition. We do appreciate you guys. Y'all keep up the good work, and we'll keep on moving here. Item number 8. Item number 8, approved minutes from the following meeting, 12/12/2022. It's a regular meeting. And so we'll need a consent. This consent to approve item 7 and 8 together. Weaver. We have a Mr. Weaver motion to approve the consent agenda, item 7 and 8. Vicky Cooper second. All in favor? Carries 5-0. I know what the sign is. There it is. All right, public hearings ordinances, we have none tonight. And just FYI, our city attorney has been off since a little bit before Christmas for end of the year holiday. And so we're unable to get a lot of things onto the agenda, a lot of action items. And so we'll have a second meeting towards the end of the month when he'll be back to get a few ordinances and resolutions on the agenda, the wording correctly. So that's why there's no public hearings or ordinances tonight. Item number 9, discuss, review, and take, these are the regular agenda items. Item number 9, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to cemetery committee appointment and or reappointments. In your packets, guys, there's some applicants' names right here. You have that up on the board. Thank you, sir. So these are the 3 that we're looking to. So the cemetery board, it's a 1-year term, and so everybody's terms are expired. So we're either going to. There's a few that have asked to not be back on, and correct me if I'm wrong. There's a few that have asked or not to be back on, and then there's some new names here that we're going to add to the cemetery committee. So,
Yes, sir. The 2 committee members that have asked to not be renewed or reappointed are Ms. Thadra and Ms. Valerie. Ms. Kathy, Mr. Gale, Mr. Paul have all indicated they would like to be reappointed. And then the folks on the next page of the packet, right here, Michael Garrett, or does he go by Mike? Yes, sir. Ms. Janice Carranza and Larry Grigsby would be the new committee members appointed to the board.
So Mr. Grigsby he's been kind of a silent member of the board. I mean, he's been helping out for quite some time, a year now, and he was never really officially appointed to the board, and he still wants to, so he wants to be a member of the board. And so the cemetery board, I mean, we can have as many members whenever we want who want to be a part of it. So there's no like 5 or 7 or whatever. So this would make 6, I believe, with that knocking 2 off, adding these 3.
Larry's been doing a good job because he's taking lots of pictures of all the stones and layouts and everything out there. So
Ms. Carranza is here. Raise your hand, Ms. Carranza. She's always been a good volunteer in the city of Bartlett. And Mr. Michael Gary is here as well. So these are your names, your people, your faces. Mr. Grigsby's not here.
he did.
So I need a motion.
It would be a
Election that we accept these new members to our cemetery committee.
and I can summarize that. Councilmember Jones.
There's a lot of new.
So you're reappointing.
Yes. Kathy Jones.
All right. Mr. Jones is on the board. So he probably doesn't need to be making a motion. So Mr. Jones, let's remove your motion. Okay, thank you. Because he can't reappoint himself. So I know, man. It'd be cool if you could. But Mr. Weaver, let's change that to motion to Mr. Weaver.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You gotta be faster, Jesse. So we reappointed Mr. Jones, Mr. Mathis, and Miss Jones, no relation, to the board, and we're adding Mr. Gary, Ms. Carranza, and Mr. Grigsby. Okay. So we have Joe Weaver's motion, Ricky Cooper second. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-0, and you'll abstain. Thank you, Gail. You can vote on the next one, though, okay? I'll let you. Item number 10, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to appointing cemetery superintendent. So you have a board, you got to have a leader of the board, superintendent. So, there you go.
I make a motion that we Kathy Jones as the cemetery committee superintendent.
Ms. Jones,
Cemetery superintendent.
who has been the city cemetery superintendent for the last year. And you still want that position, correct? Okay. So Ms. Cooper's made the motion to appoint Ms. Kathy Jones. Jesse Lona has seconded that. All in favor? That carries 5-0. All right, moving on. Item number 11, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to fiscal year 2023 American Rescue Plan Act funding allocation for the Turner Memorial Library.
Yes, sir. The city received its second allocation of the ARPA funding in the amount of $218,234. If you recall, that first allocation, which was essentially the same amount, about $272,000, was used for the GIS mapping of the city's water and wastewater infrastructure, which we've used countless times, and the Bell Street Waterline project, where we had the EPA protected swamp on the other side of the block here. But the next tranche, we are on this agenda item looking to start allocating some of that funding. We've done some initial coordinating with the city engineer, and they've advised that the city library is an eligible expense so long as the city did not receive more than $1 million of funding, cumulative funding from ARPA dollars. So even if you include what we've received from the county, Williamson County, $500,000, our total allocation is less than that $1 million. So we are well under that threshold. As it relates to other items on the agenda, which we'll get to, I would recommend that City Council not allocate more than $50,000, up to $50,000 for the library at this time. And whatever amount is allocated, it's still going to take some time to discuss with the city engineer and the city attorney to ensure that it aligns with the federal guidelines for appropriate usage. So all this is doing is just making a certain dollar amount available for funding. We will follow up with potential projects, again, with reporting to the city attorney.
So the next two items, this item and the next one, are about the same thing, just different parts. So Mr. Weaver can kind of fill us in on the library. I mean, we just had the HVAC, we had to have the HVAC and the heater replaced, and we did the lights. What are we up to on that so far? 65, was it 6,500 and 1,600? So roughly around, I think right around 8,000.
We still need, with the activity that's starting to happen with the library, which is through the workforce commission and things like that, we need to address some parking issues because the parking lot very small. We perceive in the future that we need to do some upgrades there, manage that parking better. We still have some roof issues that the building is kind of moved a little bit, separate some of the roof area too. We've done some patching on that to keep it from leaking, but it needs to be done by professional roofers to reestablish some flashing and cover flashing on that. And then other than that, we have there needs to be some upgrades on the interior. We need some electrical work done. We don't have enough gloves. Kind of the shift of libraries in this day and time is not so much about books as it is about internet access, computer access. A lot of the books now are e-books. You can get them online. So the shift is kind of making that for the library/community center, and being able to utilize that for the whole community, other than just a place to go sit down and read. So it's a multifaceted in the way that's going to happen. We just need to do some upgrades and do some, some renovation to that to better accommodate that. That's kind of what we're looking at.
There's a little bit of foundation issue, just a lot like what you see right here, to be honest with you. Like right here, where you got the crack in the floor, which is causing that roof separation and the ceiling grid separation in the wall. Mr. Gregg, thank you. But where you see the crack in the floor here, you got the same issue at the library, and so we're going to need to do a little bit of foundation work amongst some other items over there as well. So I think that what we're asking for here is an allocation up to, not to exceed, and then with approval of verification from city engineering and city attorney that we're allowed to speak, use it on this.
And it's essentially, it needs to be deemed an upgrade to a public resource, essentially. And like Mr. Weaver mentioned, the library is on the verge of transition to not just it's still a place of learning and education, but not so in the traditional sense of books as much, but also as a flexible community space where you can do workforce development, preschool, pre-K, stay-at-home parents can go there and do some educational activities, and things of that nature.
It's also starting some GED courses, ESL, English second language courses, a couple other things in there. I mean, the library has really become a happening place in the community, and it's really exciting to see. And it's really cool to see what the ladies have, all the volunteers. I mean, this is all volunteer hours. I mean, have done to this library in a very short period of time. It's amazing. All y'all that have been involved, kudos. I mean, it's awesome. So just need a motion to allocate up to whatever.
I'll make a motion to allocate no more than 50,000.
Ms. Cooper's made a motion to allocate up to 50,000 with approval of city engineer and city attorney that this can be used on the library for upgrades, right? And a Gail Jones second. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, just like the previous item number 12, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to the fiscal year 2023 American Rescue Plan Act funding allocation for the city park and pool. A lot like the previous one, you can use these funds on parks and pools and city parks, city facilities, stuff like that.
So of the 218,000 and some change, 50,000 up to 50,000 was just allocated for the library. That leaves a remaining of 168,000 from that allocation.
And I think we will probably come back with another allocation also for Mickey Caldwell Parks. It's not specifically on here, it's city park and pool, but we'll do a Mickey Caldwell.
Do we need to set an allocation for the park at this time of doing, or do we need to research that a little bit before we actually do the allocation?
My recommendation would be take this out and put it as a workshop. That way we can bring projects and we can sit down and talk about it. Get a little more information from the city attorney who's been on vacay. That makes sense.
One item of note for that is whatever we decide to do, particularly as it relates to the pool, there is a time constraint. The pool, the summer season's essentially right around the corner. It comes pretty quickly. So whatever the scope of projects we want to pursue, is it something that we can achieve before Memorial Day, basically? Or is it something that's going to potentially delay the summer pool season? If not, postpone it entirely. Just one other consideration on time for that.
I would like to see the views. That's a big celebration.
Well, things that need to happen at the pool, things that need to happen in the city park. The playground equipment needs upgrading, major upgrading. We just did the pavilion. We had National Night Out over there, and there was like 53,000 people there, and it was amazing. And I mean, it was just awesome to see the community together and utilizing our park space, the school, everybody coming together. So playground equipment needs upgrading. The fencing around city pool is basically just there for looks. Yeah, it's so out of code and so out of. It's not really keeping anybody out. To be honest with you, it needs to be upgraded and replaced. The pool itself needs major upgrades, major renovations. If we want to salvage it, if we want to get another 15, 20 years out of it, we're going to have to do these upgrades. If not, it may not last another 5 years. I mean, it's what we've been told by 2 different pool companies. And so those are some of the things that I know of that need to happen over there. Out at Becky Caldwell Fields, they can always use any and all upgrades that we're willing to do out there. The tennis courts out there, they need lighting, they need nets. I think we allowed them to take the park equipment down because it was unsafe. The baseball fields, I mean, I know they've worked hard on doing backstops and stuff like that with fundraising and stuff like that. Sidewalks. I mean, there's plenty of projects out there to do also. So we don't want to leave our youth league out, our youth facility out. That's why I would say let's do a hardcore parks. Let's dive into our parks and do a hardcore workshop in the next couple of weeks, and that way we can come back with a fair assessment of what needs to be spent where, and if we have to push the pool renovations off until after summer, we'll just bank that money and because I mean it's got to be spent by what 2025, 27, something like that. We'll be all right. I'm sorry.
Solicit citizen feedback as to what they want, what might engage
Yes.
them.
I think that's in a workshop. Citizens will have a more of an open discussion. We have your motion to move this to a workshop with Jesse Lynn second. Yeah, there is a slight leak somewhere in the piping, and then obviously surface evaporation. So yeah, it's a little bit. So, all in favor of moving this to a workshop? I just think that's fair, Item 13, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to the 2021 limited tax note funding allocation for the wastewater treatment plant lift station pump upgrades. Sorry, wastewater treatment plant out north of town. That's where all of the sewage goes through the city all the way out to the north side of town. A couple months ago, we had some pumps replaced that were, I believe there's 3 pumps in that well. This well's like 30, 40 feet deep. It's huge. And there's big old giant pumps down at the bottom that pump the sewage up into the lagoons. I believe 2 of them we were limping along on one pump. That's what we do here in Bartlett. We wait until we're almost dead before we start pumping money into things, obviously. So there was two dead pumps and 1 good pump. So we pulled the old pumps out. We were able to get some of them replaced by insurance, I believe, TML.
We received $25,916 for the replacement of 2 pumps at our wastewater treatment plant lift station. That was pretty critical. Of those 3, I think you mentioned only 1 was in operation at any time, which can cause ripple effects downstream or upstream of your sewer system. So to get that done alleviated a lot of back pressure on our infrastructure. The other part of that, insurance only covered the pumps; they didn't cover the labor component, and so that is what we would request city council to allocate for the tax notes to essentially complete the project turnkey. That quote came back to about $7,750, I believe, and
Disconnects, yes, sir.
do we want to, does council want to allocate a more round amount? So if we've already expended, it was like 7,750 in the labor component, we want to round up to say 10,000 to include any potential electric upgrades for the pumps, which is pretty critical because if anything malfunctions with those pumps, it's going to be related to that electric equipment out there.
Do you think the 10,000 will cover the electric at this point?
You know, I think we might ought to wait until we get the quote back on the electric, honestly, because I think we
Because
can,
the panel itself.
because of their stainless disconnects, you have to have, for that, you have to,
The concept that we were kind of looking at there, could have gone all stainless at this point, because we know we're gonna be, once we get our funding into the new sewer treatment plant, that's all gonna go away anyway. So we need to go ahead and spend that majority amount of money on disconnect, we can get by 3 or 4 years before we got by the time before we completely rebuilt it.
I would operate under the assumption that that lift station will still be there and still be a critical piece of it. And in the event that it does need to be completely replaced from that funding, then we can cross that bridge. In the worst case scenario, if it's not going to be replaced, it would be beneficial to make sure to have a solid
And
asset.
we need to, there's gonna be a substantial increase in cost to go with the code required stainless steel cabinets and everything versus standard exterior boxes. So we're not gonna get that with number for.
let's hold off on the electrical. And wait until we get a quote. So we can approve what's already been done, this agenda item, and then we can circle back at the next meeting after the quote's approved to do that work. Okay. So the stainless disconnect, we got 650 to $1,000 a piece. All right. So I just need a motion for what's here on the agenda. Or not.
It can be no action taken if we're going to wait for additional quote. We can just bring it back up another
You know,
meeting.
just bring it back, the whole caboodle? Or do you want to approve to pay what's already here? What's already been done, the labor?
You just wanna hold that for later?
Um,
Yes. Just the allocate funds.
and that amount was. $78.75. Labor component, $7,875.
So you don't want to get more than that.
Sure.
I'll make the motion to go ahead and make the survey.
Mr. Weaver's made a motion to allocate the $7,825. Ms. Cooper has seconded that. All in favor? 3-5-0. Item 14, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to the 2021 limited tax note funding allocation for city council chambers renovations. Yes, sir. Same thing. Tax note money sitting there. We're spending it. We just need to allocate so we can take it out of this account, pay these bills. And so, y'all seen the city hall renovations going on. Jeff has talked about it. Mr. J, take over.
This one will be for the this side of the city hall renovations. So if you recall, we initially our initial estimate was on the floors, and the floors came in a lot more affordable than we had initially anticipated. So we were able to stretch that project all the way up to the initial 50,000 allocation from council, and we got tons done with it. We've coordinated, done some preliminary research with the city attorney and bond counsel, and their initial assessment is that council can free up some remaining, if not all the remaining components of the tax notes, which would be about $38,000, give or take, to complete this side of the council chamber renovation. And all of this side would be completely contracted out. So it'd be one formal bid, and that would include, I believe, drywall repair, paint, floors, ceiling grid upgrades. This area would be carpet squares. The high traffic areas, including the restroom and the kitchen, would be that VCT laminate flooring, and then and restrooms as well, and potentially an audio visual system upgrade. If you recall, really before COVID, this side of the city hall was used for rentals, and it was very, very popular for that purpose. People would have family reunions, birthday parties, things of that nature. So renovating this space will essentially serve to act as another community center, community resource. And it'll be a very nice renovated space. So it will be an investment in the community, not just for city council meetings. And in order to do that, I don't know if we have any initial cost assessments of what that would be to sub that entire thing out. But if council were to allocate the remaining portions of the tax note, that budget would essentially be about $38,000, pending what the treatment plan is.
Minus what's going on with the treatment plan.
Correct. So we can wait for this one, bring it back, no action, or we can do a scope. It would be good to establish a budget first, that way we can do that, and then bring it back for. I believe no action at this time. The other consideration, again, another time constraint, is the early voting for the election is mid-April. So if we want to do something to this space, ideally it's either completed by the start of April or it's postponed until after the election in May. There's no thing to consider, especially if it's subbed out completely. So no action.
No action, we'll move it to the next meeting for discussion. Item number 15, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to amending City Hall hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to include remaining open from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So as most people know, City Hall's open, City Hall doors are open 8 to 5 p.m. And we've here for the last 2 years, 3 years, we've closed from the hours of 12 to 1 so the ladies can take an undisturbed lunch hour. And so I've had a lot of feedback from citizens over the last couple of years about, some of them, that's the only time they can come in to pay their bills or come in to do things, especially if they're driving in from out of town or they have working hours and stuff like that. So Joseph and Philip and I have kind of put our heads together and we've discussed some options on how to kind of move some hours around on different people. Workers to where we're able to stay open from 8 to 5 with no closure in between. And we're just staggering lunch hours and allowing one person to come in later and staying an hour late in the evening to make up for email time. So, you want to discuss anything?
Sure. We've been doing that for about 2 weeks now, and it's been pretty seamless. It was a bit of a pilot program, and we've had several citizens come in during that hour where it would typically be closed, and we pay their bills and that. And we communicated to staff that if council decides to transition to this hours of operations, that that is the way it will be moving forward. There is no, because somebody's out sick, we're going to go back to it. That is what the consistency is, the important part. Once we do the transition, that's what it is. And that will include myself assisting at the counter in the event we have 1 or 2 people out. Whatever it takes to keep the counter open during lunch hour is what we would do.
Yeah, better service in the community. And do you want to discuss the permit clerk and moving her time?
Yeah,
this is how we're going to do it. So
we do our best to work with every one of our personnel one-on-one, case by case, to accommodate their professional development, and the craziness of life. And so we've got enough data points now that we feel it was a good strategy to stagger some schedules. You have your traditional 8 to 5 and a more non-traditional 9 to 6 schedule. And by staggering that, we're able to get coverage at the counter over the lunch hour, while also earmarking some quiet time, so to speak, for our permit clerk to catch up on permits, emails, and keep that side of operations up to speed. So it was a mutually beneficial situation, I think, for all parties involved.
Any questions?
On the lunches will be staggered.
The 8 to 5 clerks will have a traditional 12 to 1 lunch, a normal cover, and Rosa permit clerk will have lunch from 1 to 2, so after their lunch hour.
Everybody still gets to eat. Everybody still gets to lunch. Everybody still gets their 8-hour days. And the counters staying open, 8 to 5. One girl's coming in at 9 and leaves at 6. Counter closes at 5. She has an hour to do an hour of undisturbed time where she can catch up on all the paperwork that particular job entails, and emails and stuff like that. So hopefully we can streamline this permitting process a little more swiftly, to where we're getting permits turned around quicker to our citizens and investors and stuff like developers that are in town working. So all makes sense. And we'll go public with this, 15th or whatever. I mean, what's today? Tomorrow. We'll make a citywide posting on our website and share it on Facebook, and just update the citizens at this point. Maybe you can put it in the paper. Update the citizens on permitting hours, 9 to 5, and then, City Hall office hours, 8 to 5. No closure.
Second.
We do need an action on that, just because we are changing the actual hours that we're open. Right, open more hours now. So 1 more hour. So yes, we do one action. Mr. Weaver made a motion to adjust these hours accordingly. Goes on. Oh, Ray Usong. Ooh. I said that name all night. He is here. Thanks for waking him up, yo. We had a Philip Weaver motion and a Ray Usong second. All in favor? I wake Gail up. All against? How you voting? How you voting? 4? Okay.
I didn't see you.
You weren't paying attention, obviously. Motion carries 5-0. All right. Do we want to jump into this? Or we want to wait till 8? That's what time we said. We'll go one more item. Item number 16. Discuss and provide staff direction regarding potential May 2023 ballot measure for amending authorized beverages permissible for alcohol sales within the city limits. We're gonna have a beer cart and a wine cart at city council meetings. It's gonna be awesome.
So currently, because we're split by 2 counties, this whole conversation is revolving around what you can serve for on-premise consumption within the city limits. In Bell County, in the city limits, you can only sell beer for on-premise consumption. On the Williamson side of the county, you can also only do beer for on-premise consumption. So where that comes into play is, I know there's a lot of desire for a brick and mortar restaurant in town. And when you look at Holland and Granger, Holland permits beer only, and Granger permits beer and wine for on-premise only. However, if you look at Taylor and Salado and some of the other cities that are slightly larger than us, they also have what's called a restaurant mixed beverage. So think of like a margarita at a Mexican restaurant. They're permitted to sell that within the city limits. Now, if we're going to create some incentives, so to speak, for restaurants to look at Bartlett as a brick and mortar destination, And if they were to evaluate this corridor, Holland, Bartlett, Granger, if Bartlett was the one that was permissible for mixed beverages within that restaurant, we would have a competitive advantage in attracting that business. As of now, we would not be able to permit that. So in order to change that, it's going to take a ballot measure on an election. So the next one we have up is May 2023, and we have until about mid to late February to determine what our ballot measures will be.
Is that how Granger is?
Granger does not.
You know, they have wine, you can't sell wine.
You can do beer and wine on premise, but they don't allow restaurant mixed beverages.
We have that here.
We do not. Just beer. It's open for discussion.
Tell us the truth, Joseph. You just want a margarita machine in the break room.
It's on order.
Yes, ma'am.
So can we include in that, for example, I know, so mine is beer only, so I would like to be able to sell wine, so that would be an on-premise, and I'll be limited in what I can obtain because of this restriction.
Correct.
And so when beer garden opens in another month or so, the only thing it can sell is beer. And so, if we're gonna think about restaurants and margaritas, that's one thing, but let's look at the whole big picture. So if we're gonna do this, let's consider everything.
No,
That's the restaurant mix, isn't it?
It's not just a brick and mortar.
Well, but the reason I'm saying this is because understanding TABC and the specifics, and I know you know them, Vicki, but wine is its own something. And so you guys are talking about liquor, wine is something, beer is something, and so.
And liquor.
And liquor,
something else.
right.
Yes.
And so I'm saying, as a business owner who owns a place that will be serving alcohol, I'm asking you to also say the word wine.
That's the whole wine on, right? Everyone.
Yeah, that would be part of it.
But what I'm saying is I appreciate the intent. I had the intent to sell beer and wine when I first applied for my license.
Rest assured, we're gonna put that into that.
Right.
So it'd be beer on, wine on, restaurant mix, right? Or on.
And there's so many codes and words and.
A lot of acronyms. And the other ways that this can be leveraged is if you look at other communities, they'll do a downtown wine swirl,
Yeah.
where you can interact with local businesses within that downtown area while having a glass of wine. And so it develops some foot traffic incentives, additional opportunities for some small town local business development as well.
Well, I'd just like to say, there is a wine thing, smart beer, but it's not the same.
There you
It
go.
is not
Very
the same.
different. That's very different, yes.
Now, we can continue this either for a workshop for more in-depth discussion, or we can bring it back to the agenda. We still have some time to maybe hash this out.
Can we
Work
put it
out a
with
little
our
more.
different workshops that we're gonna have?
As long as we have that workshop in the next week to 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying, that's what y'all said.
And I could even just coordinate with the city attorney on the back end to draft, because we're gonna have to order,
Working in with the elections coming up.
yes, sir, because we're gonna have to order a general election anyway. I mean, that's the baseline. But now, if you would like, council, if you would like for us to proceed with including this in either in the workshop or in the order of the ballot measure, then I can coordinate with the city attorney to do that.
I think you just go to that. Everybody knows what you want. Put it on the next, election. If you want to have a workshop, right?
Make that motion. Make that motion.
I don't know. I'll make a motion. I will go to that. That's what's keeping our restaurants from commercial. We have a lot of people who think of this drinking.
You can open your casino. Yes. Oh, it's a different license, my bad.
Did you second this one?
I'll second. Mr. Uson has motioned that we do proceed on with putting this on the ballot to include beer on, wine on, restaurant mixed on. Correct? Is that
I
correct?
don't drink.
And Mr. Luna has seconded that motion. All in favor? I'm sorry, you have it? Yeah, that's a totally different TABC regulation is the amount of footage to churches and schools. So this is just, yeah. So let's move on. Let's now that we're after the 8 o'clock hour, we said earlier we'd move to the 8 o'clock hour, the special. So we're going to take a recess from the regular agenda item, right? And we're going to circle back to items 5 and 6, which were the 20. So we'll call a recess on the regular agenda at 8:03 p.m. And we're going to circle back to items number 5 and 6 out of the boards and commissions, committees, presentations, proclamations that we talked, and we moved to the 8 o'clock hour to allow the stager to be present, and Ms. Grant and Peggy Sue Grant, I believe, is that you? Hi, Peggy Sue, how you doing? And so to allow them to be here for this. So as there is snacks and cakes and stuff
No
back
wine.
in the kitchen. There's no beer, there's no beer, no wine, sorry. But there's snacks back there. You guys are all welcome to. There's cake. Miss Cooper made cakes for the little thing here. So
He's running for me.
last year,
Not this year.
just barely over a year ago now, we lost a very important member of the city of Bartlett, a very important citizen of the Bartlett, who was mayor multiple times in Bartlett during his mayorship, and also as a volunteer firefighter for the city of Bartlett. He was on the Bartlett Volunteer Fire Department for many years. He was a veteran, gave lots of time to his country, and just a good guy and a good mayor. And Mr. James Grant passed away, I believe, January 1st of 2022. And we lost him after a brief illness. And I sat back, and Joseph and I sat back just right before we lost him, early December. And we're trying to come up with ways to honor Mr. Grant. And we came up with the Distinguished Citizen of the Year award and a Distinguished Employee of the Year recognition, and they're both named after Mr. Grant. And they're called the James M. Grant Citizen of the Year award and the James M. Grant Employee of the Year award. And so what we have is a couple plaques that we will have these hanging in City Hall for as long as we can just could, and each year we'll send them off to get new tags, as well as the recipient get to take one home for themselves. And so
Yes.
But so I just we usually do this at the annual Christmas party. This year, with the renovations going on in the city hall, we didn't really have like a great Christmas party. We had basically on a weekday, on Thursday afternoon, right before Christmas. We just had like a luncheon for the workers, and Miss Stager was unavailable. She's the cat's out bag. She's our employee. Citizen of the Year recipient, and Corporal Clayton is our Employee of the Year recipient. And so both of them just happen to be unavailable that day. So we moved this recognition to tonight. And so I asked Mrs. Grant to be here, and James's daughter, Peggy Sue Grant, Miss Laurel Grant. It's James's widow and his wife of how many years? 38 years. Yeah, that's awesome. So I asked them to be here tonight to kind of to do the presentation. So you guys can come on up, and we'll ask Ms. Stager to come up, and Mr. Clayton, you guys come on up.
And
If you want to add me to the payroll, we can discuss it.
Ms.
So just real quick, this is Stager. Stager. Roll. Stager's been a citizen of Bartlett for what, about 3 years now? 2 years. Fairly new citizen. Came into Bartlett first. Jumped right in. He's been very instrumental in the reopening of the library, the Patrick Memorial Library, and I mean she was one of the main reasons why the reopening was successful. And so she's also a member of the American Legion. Was
183.
So she's a member of the MDD, the Bartlett Municipal Development District. She was until about 30 months ago a member of the cemetery committee. Right. Okay, and so what else does this thing do?
Library, cemetery, and
American Legion.
all around active person in the community. MDD, you said MDD, right?
Very, very, very active. Good people, good person. And she kept that library open on her days off, Fridays and Saturdays. That was days off, Fridays and Saturdays. But she kept that open, many volunteer hours by herself, and those are her days off. And she was up there open the Bartlett Library. And there were days that she may not have had one visitor at all. Or, there's days that she might have had 5 visitors. But very easily you could have just said, guys, this isn't working. It could have been just as easy to just walk away from it and say, this is not working. But no, she stuck with it. And now we've got more people involved with the library. We've got all kinds of volunteers with the library. She's actually getting days off, and she's taking and the library is thriving. Use her logo. How many visitors?
A lot.
I mean, it's just a lot of programs going on. I mean, it's something to be really proud of. I mean, it's going to turn into a really good staple that the community like it's like a food business. So I think it's really along those. And so that's Pedro. Corporal Clayton, how long have you been here, man?
I'm 8 years.
8 years, almost 8 years. What can you say about Oakley? I mean, Clayton is like the nicest police officer I've ever met.
Well, when
I believe we met Joseph before Joseph worked for the city of Bartlett. Joseph was not telling through town.
he pulled me over, and it was the most professional interaction I ever had from a police
Clayton pulled
department.
him over and gave him a ticket, right?
Yeah, I still got my ticket.
I mean, gotta love this man. I mean, I've seen Clayton drive down the street, get out the yard playing, stopping, get out, mingling with the kids, give them little, the little badge stickers. I've seen him go to the dollar store, buy ice creams, drive around town, hand out ice creams, kids. I mean, look, personally, my kid's bike got stolen off my front porch. My kid's bike got stolen. I know another one here recently got stolen. Clayton, out of his own goodness of his heart, his own pocketbook, goes out and buys. I think he had a sponsor on this last one, where they went 50-50. They went out and bought these kids. My kid was one, and I know my kid and the other kid, he's gone out and bought bicycles to replace their stolen bicycles out of the goodness of his heart, out of his own pocketbook. Just just a rock solid dude. I mean, does his job.
You know something?
Does his job. I mean, he's just so very professional.
Above and beyond. We talk about core values as an organization, going above and beyond in our customer service, and Corporal Clayton embodies that through and through. So this was really a no-brainer for us to select him as the 2022 Employee of the Year. So, without further ado,
Absolutely.
we want to give it up for Corporal Clayton and Miss Stager.
So I felt like these were very good candidates. James, we were so proud of the present award.
like dominoes?
But he did love reading and he did love engaging. Yes, he's into Legos. He was into the STEM program. He did some STEM fields. But he would be very, very proud of it. And I'm thinking
So he's familiar afterwards, second time inside.
she's my shine. Thank you both for coming today. Oh, you got me on garden now. So I'm all right. Yeah, I said, I gotta go. I'm sorry. I found out what is important. Community and family. Okay. Don't get the hard way, but that is the most important one. So we all need to do that.
Y'all want to take a good picture with them?
They need to hold the,
That hardware.
How's the lighting? You got a good time? You look like a nice
And this will be, once City Hall is finally, renovations are complete, we will be hanging that on the wall for
forever and ever.
Well,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Not just eating the floor.
From my end.
watch out for the you need to use that television. That's total.
Well, it was a good run while it lasted. Hope you didn't put any money down on that.
For that guy, because he's the employee of the year. Yeah. So that's good too, right? Well, we appreciate it. We see it. I'm in the yard in the dark. I'm trying to wake you up.
I'm sure he's.
Just put it on the workshop.
Oh, yeah.
That's a new thing, man. I've never seen that
And we're still. But, you know.
Why is it better to come in I'll make a sandwich, sit for the Yes.
Everybody's sort of like.
Let me know what it
Which one's your favorite? What? I like you. He knows I like that. But you know, I'm so excited about my favorite.
He said, I'm not gonna.
I see Britain going down just a little. Go down a little bit. What kind of meat is it? I think I know it's a deal. The one they use for caldo de res. Caldo de res, you know, soup. Is it just beef? Woo! Look at her. Maybe something. 64. My grandson changed my cover, but we didn't have something. Once you crack it, you just keep it going. Oh, now I see. Lindenberg, right? Was.
I mean, then I got a 63.
The first car I had was a 67, and my dad had a few with the holes in the side. Push the accelerator all the way to the bottom and the front.
Pretty good.
But big.
I didn't I traded.
Before.
Yeah.
Nothing on that's the big thing.
They just 3 months put it together.
Where's your dad?
Look,
Oh, who's? He had my truck for 6 months.
you know, he got a car for that. I gave him about $6,000. And it's a part. No, I have a.
No, he had the truck.
No, I have a car. They put it over. I can't know what to do. I got that 62 work.
I remember that.
So I have.
Yeah, they had one for 6 months.
This one's like.
And then the one in the Little River, they were pretty cheap. That's okay. Yeah, there's a new one there. Right there, Main Street.
And I'm about ready to lose out.
Oh, you gave us the money? Didn't give it back.
Vicky did good.
That's why, you know, when I.
What cake did you get?
Okay. Cherry.
Sure, it's good, isn't it? It's my favorite out of all of them.
It's good.
Not the lemon poppy.
Oh, I don't eat that. I love making them, but I don't like eating them.
I know that.
We
There's some food.
That's that one I got.
Okay, so the sheriff, the one closest to the edge, she's the poppy seed, the one poppy seed. And the one behind it is just lemon. But I either did good or I did bad, because I normally give orange juice.
You
Okay, not that you let anybody.
get groceries from that work.
I know the chocolate powder sheriff. I didn't take it to this. It's just like, oh my gosh, what is this?
So which one are you gonna get? Which pie, which cake? Oh, that's okay.
You don't have to get one bottle, get one bottle, and then to make salsa, oh, they back it yourself. Y'all have to sell it.
All right, guys, take care.
Just have. Yeah, like these.
So you in Dean are tuning? You ain't going back to be Dean anymore, so.
I thought he was supposed to be here tonight. That's what I heard.
What's Susan?
It's babysitting grandkids. They got some play going on in Tamara, so she's over there. Like you had to twist her arm to get over there.
Do we have a score yet?
Oh, it's not good.
Our
No,
youngest
what
one
is
is spending the night with us. He's got
103-7.
sea fever and ear infection.
You're lying, what is?
It's like 38-7.
Yesterday.
Hmm?
Went to the doctor today.
38-7.
Georgia, I called Susan a while ago to check on her.
Did you come back?
Chaos over there.
Where is he?
And I said, what do you want to eat? I told the 9-year-old, what do you want to eat? You wrote me a list to go to Dollar General.
Give you a list.
Ice cream.
And you went and bought every bit of it, didn't you?
I don't blame you.
And, oh yeah, beer batter shrimp.
Ooh.
Oh, my.
$7.
Gee, Ray, how much money you got that guy?
Oh, I used that
Lock-
lock splitter yesterday and today.
Oh, you did?
I'm glad I bought it because I was gonna buy the, you know how the kinetic splitters work?
Yeah.
It's a lot faster, but this one is a little bit slower. I kind of like that because I'm a little slow.
You think?
Didn't get out of the way as fast as you used to.
Where's
The
Joseph at?
wood to dry it up.
Vic.
They got some wood that is really stringy. What is it?
Springy?
I thought it was
Oh,
ash.
maybe he's giving a tour.
Who knows?
I've been inside.
They just weird, some of the other, wood.
Maybe just not really dry yet.
Did you get you some salsa?
It's real stringy. Oh, yeah, that thing has been behind my building for a year.
I don't know.
They're okay.
I pick it up and the bark falls off.
Oh,
Yeah, it's old.
But it's real
But
stringy.
Jerry Contact.
it's money. It's good.
Sausage balls,
It's all good.
Jerry Contact.
Right.
Sea cake. Okay, and then one in the back is the lemon juice cake.
I give you.
Oh, is it what I really?
7.
Clayton tried it, he said, oh, it's good. I told him last night, I said, well,
I haven't seen.
I either made it really, really good or it's really good.
All this pound cake for a piece of it.
Yeah. My mother-in-law made it.
When I used to drive my jeans,
I don't even know if I can afford them. I forget how much sugar, how many eggs. It's just,
He's up there
but
with
it's a coconut flavor.
he's like in his eighties, isn't
Best things I've ever seen. And I think it was great grandmother's recipe.
It's not making it fresh.
Good
he?
week.
Oh, like new building? He's got a second floor. Everything that was in the building, she got in there.
You know how many times?
That's what the lemon juice and the orange juice is.
Kept early in there.
A little crunchy.
Yeah, yeah.
Where's Jay at?
Where's who?
Giving a tour of the office.
Let's tour that thing after these 3 hours. Y'all can stay the night in there for all I care.
Thank you, Chad.
Like
Thank
3
you,
hours,
Xavier.
kind of like Gilligan's office.
Hey, where's their speakers?
You don't need it.
Oh, no.
My parents were there way in the back. Couldn't hear you.
Yeah, did you say you had?
They're right back there.
Yeah.
You too late to put them in.
I've got a GFI pad in the kitchen.
Well, we got here too late.
Joseph!
Can I pick your brain while you wait on him? Both of them?
I'd love to be it.
Oh, come on, I know better than that, Mr. Weaver. I'm not looking at what's on his screen, okay?
But
No, you're about to be city administrator for about 15 minutes while we can get this done.
I am looking for electricians for residential. If you know of anybody, I'm taking names and numbers. Electrician?
Greg?
usually good.
Concepcion Gators to do it, but we're able to do it for 2 guys here.
What was the first one?
Concepcion Gators, and then, do it, that Indian Mines,
Okay.
and then Greg, Willis. The guy that did those, AC at the library.
Okay. You have their numbers? Okay. None of my outlets are grounded.
What kind of wire is it?
The house was built in 45.
These are-
The outlets are 3, but they're not grounded.
But the wires probably got, like, not plastic, but cloth.
I haven't looked far enough into that.
What you may have to do is,
House is ground. You gotta make sure the floor out is ground is ground. Or you have to be.
The library's got the same issue, by the way. The library's got the same issue. The way to fix it, if you got the 3-prong plugs, is to, you can either rerun all
Stick
the
my finger
wiring.
in there?
You can either rerun all the wiring, or you can put GFI breakers in the panel to protect everything. Or you can put a GFI at the beginning of each run to protect that whole run.
Yeah,
That's what my brother was thinking about doing. But he's not licensed.
but the chef not trading that wire.
Huh?
The chef not trading that wire, one, two, or something.
You can rewire the whole house. Pretty expensive.
I mean, for the first year.
GFI breakers.
Yes, yeah, no?
Replace your breaker, GFIs, and that's the protection.
All right.
You have to run it around your-
You know, my favorite wire is putting up like the line, the ones with the little cable.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, they're so easy to work with. Just get the clamps and put it into curling and everything.
And you know you're always
I wired my house 30 some years. But I did wire one building.
You know what I mean? It's like,
The only thing
Still building. And also, you It's right here, here's a six. I have one, we don't have one. You mean, well, I have them. Put a ceiling fan. Well, the third switch, but better if it's not enough.
I did all the lights in the library. Nothing like a library.
That's what I did. I wanted them covered, go to two covered. You know, from the on. My favorite.
It's pretty late.
One in the morning, I'll be.
All right, we're going to reconvene in an open session at 8:42 p.m. 8:42 p.m. And we are on item number 17. Discuss and provide staff direction regarding the TxDOT 2023 Transportation Alternative Grant Program.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so TxDOT, that's the Safe Routes to School, is what the last one was that we did. That project should start in January of 24, I believe. We're going through the whole procurement and the engineering and blah, 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 all that, all the state require. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You got to do design, bid,
I
construction.
mean, yeah. So that's the project that goes from the school to the post office. Sidewalk, big sidewalk coming down to Phaedra's front yard, all the way through the library, all the way through the funeral home.
No, they didn't frame that when they did the survey on my house. We're gonna have to have a public hearing.
And then, so that gets us all the way downtown. Okay, so this would be as we'd call it like phase 2. And so we got to know if we want to put together a project, our engineering team to put together a project, grant procurement or whatever you want to call it, grant writers, put together a project to apply to the state. And so the deal is Bell County, anything in Bell County is 100% funded through TxDOT because it's considered a non-entitled county. Anything in the Williamson County side is an 80-20 match. So preferably,
We do it in Bell.
we want to stay on the Bell County side. Okay. And so Justice kind of got we've kicked some tires here this week. Just got a few routes that we're talking about.
So if you recall during our city council strategic workshops, we developed a strategic goal of connectivity, which is how do we connect the community resources in one cohesive manner. You typically do that through sidewalks, trails, hike and bike, things of that nature. So right now, the Safe Routes to School will connect the school, the city pool, Willowbell, the library, housing, and all the way down to downtown. And then downtown has its own sidewalks and what have you. So the next phase, like Mayor mentioned, would be how do we get to the other side of the tracks? And this would be an ideal project to do that. The biggest constraint that we have is the county line, and it takes a pretty relatively steep turn once you pass the tracks. It's right along this line here. City Hall is right here. Fire station, Baptist Church, BAC, Legion Hall, and I believe Head Start is either here or here. Right here. Mhm. So we have one of two options, or one of two preliminary options. We can start right here on Bell Street and just take a straight shot to about 5 blocks all the way down here, and that'll connect BAC, Legion Hall, all the way down to Head Start. Or we could try, depending on the county line, to start the sidewalk on this block, right in front of City Hall, take a right north, connecting the fire department, and then resume the same path this way.
But wouldn't a straight line be cheaper?
Potentially.
Well, it's like, if it's in Bell County, it's up to us, it's free.
The main thing we want to avoid is dealing with the railroad. So we don't want to have to do any railroad crossings or anything of that nature. Same map, just the GIS component. It would go potentially start here, north, and then all the way down that way.
But where you started is worse.
Well, technically, the city hall's in Bell County, so it's just a matter of where exactly is that Bell County line.
Because the
gonna
Bell County
determine.
line goes,
Crazy.
Right there. It's right at that crossing point.
So right now, you see where the nursing home is up there. So that's Professor Powell. So the school's to the right back there. So it's coming down this way, all the way to Evie Street, and then taking it and going down to the post office. So one more, right there. And that's where the current project's going to stop. And then you already have sidewalks downtown. They get you towards the railroad track. Okay, so we're going to come on this side of the track, hit those buildings right there on the corner, right there, go that way, go up to Bell Street, and then so now you're connecting downtown to city offices, to the fire department, to a church, to the BAC, which is a community center, to the American Legion Hall, carry on down Bell Street, and instead of jotting all the way over, the city would have to pick up the portion that eventually goes to Head Start, the side of Head Start, because that's in Williamson County. So that's one route.
That's the preferred route.
That's the preferred route because you're connecting your downtown sidewalks, to your city offices, to businesses, business, your fire department, that way from church, BAC, Legion Hall, even further down to right behind Head Start. And then eventually, in 2 years, when they come out to do another project, apply for another phase, and maybe we are able to take it even further into the community or out to Becky Caldwell Fields for that, for now you've got that hike and bike trail throughout your entire city. So that's kind of the thoughts we're looking at. I mean,
It's a sidewalk.
sidewalks.
They'd be ADA sidewalks.
What are they, 5 feet wide?
I think minimum 5 feet, but probably 6
6
foot.
feet wide.
So is there a limit on what we can talk about?
No, the last one that we got awarded that they're paying for, the Safe Routes to School project, that was $700 and some odd $1,000, almost $800,000. Granger got one for like downtown sidewalks and stuff like that. That was even more. It was like close to $900,000.
What if we went ahead and had to take sidewalks all the way out to Becky Caldwell, so we can loop it back in the future?
We can fix the road.
Right now, we don't have a clear easement to Becky Caldwell from Bell Street or DeVille Street.
Down the right of way, down the road right of way?
Is that something that shows up on there?
On Front
Like
Street?
where Alamo
Oh, you mean 12
or
Academy?
where Lucy or Lindemann were cut through to the Becky Caldwell? Is there like, do we actually have an easement?
I think the only access point is through Front Street.
Yeah.
So we'd have to work on that.
West side.
Mm,
No,
what street is
it's,
that?
West Front Street,
West Front Street turns into the county road though.
yeah.
Right out here.
And then after Jacob's house is,
I'll show you. I got it right.
But that's in the county, right? When you say-
Once you get to about where the power plant, the power station is, substation, that's where it comes off the county. About State Street.
Let's see. So there's
I see what not, they don't pick it up.
who's Becky Caldwell. Okay. And then here's the BAC. So it ends right around here, somewhere along there. And if we were to extend that route north, see, we don't have any easement beyond the stretch here. You're getting into private property at that point in order to get to Becky Caldwell. And the only accessible
Yeah,
route.
that's all farmland.
That's how that's all developed. I mean, I do prime real estate development, but
And the only other path is along the street here.
But right there, go back, Justin, right there, power view.
Mhm.
Okay, right after that, it turns into county, not city.
Oh, right here.
even further back by the power plant, right by the power plant.
Oh, right here.
What's for dinner?
Go back.
Your electrician, Greg.
Come right after.
So the other consideration is on the south side of town, we have Mount Ararat Park. And this, I believe this one coincided with Cottrell Street, which would be a straight shot all the way down. I don't have the street names on here.
That's the prison.
That's Cottrell. And then assuming that the new subdivision on the south side of town continues to progress and it becomes a reality, a significant portion of that development would become approximately 80 acres of parkland, city parkland. So we're gonna have a big park on Becky Caldwell North, and we're gonna have a big potential park on the south side of town. So there's two routes. That we could go
If they're
north and
having
south.
baseball, I think that was gonna be one about it.
Mhm.
So when we did our what did you call that, strategic planning of the
Strategic goals.
goals, what's our the safe, family friendly,
Business, right, safe, family friendly, family oriented,
family oriented,
business friendly,
walkable
safe
community,
community.
something like that. So this fits right into that walkable community.
So this is in conjunction, I mean, when you just started,
It would be viewed as that.
Yeah.
I would view it
An
as
additional
that.
phase.
but it didn't have to go through Willowville.
Well, it's
Because of the direction and where
from
you-
the school. I mean, it goes straight to the school, straight down Professor Powell, and it's on this side of Professor Powell. Not the park side or Willowville side, it's on the other side. By Tadger's house, goes straight down there, across the library to the nursing home, or to the funeral home, and then takes a left, goes across the street, Eagle Street, and then connects down to the post office.
And when it comes to applying for these grants, the more community resources that you can highlight along that path, the more competitive your application is. So that's why we're trying to hit on as many of these components as we can in a potential path.
What benefits it come?
And one other thing to consider, if we can get one in front of City Hall, then whatever happens to the building across the street, which would hopefully we'll work on concurrently over the next 5 years or so, could eventually become it's already a historical component of the city. So that would just make it that much more accessible to the average walker.
So
So we have a meeting with the city engineer tomorrow to discuss this project. They've asked that we bring them back proposed route at that meeting so they can work on the pre-application, which is due the 28th of this month. And from what I can gather, it sounds like the preferred path would be the edge of that sidewalk here on this block, west, north, and then as far on Bell Street, as far down as we can get it down to Head Start as possible. And if the engineers say it's too close to the county line, that it may cause issues, what have you, and then an alternate path would maybe be from Bell all the way down to.
Because through the county land, like, you know, you would think on Bell Street, at the end would be Bell County, is Williamson County.
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy pretty quick.
You see the county line.
It goes sharp north pretty quick.
So
Whatever you guys come up.
I think Route 1, like you just said, you know, and then we'll pull that off. Because the city hall's in Bell County. Yeah. That's where we'll put the sidewalk ends, sidewalk begins.
We could probably get some factory,
Well,
tie that in later.
You know,
Get some of that old asphalt over there.
let me pull up that CAD map one
So we need a motion on this?
more time.
Motion
We don't have an alley down the center, do we?
Right here.
Where the parking lot.
Yeah, there's an alley up there, in between Beverly's house and her neighbor's house. That's an alley.
Worst case, maybe we go on
Worst
there.
case, maybe.
What we're doing here is come in, stop, and people will be ready.
Nice.
That way it's just a little bit more safely and maybe MDD can pick up that portion of it.
We know where Mama's house was. Her front yard is in Williamson County, and her backyard's in there.
So here's the back.
Ain't gonna ever get to it.
So here's City Hall, right here, and there's that county line. Right. So I was asking if this little section extended to Front Street, and then maybe we could use that, but it almost seems like the Bell Street route. Maybe if we start it here, maybe we start at sidewalk here. I don't know. We'll define that path with the engineers tomorrow to see what we'll
We'll
do.
go with that path, number one,
Mhm.
and then if that's not gonna work, go with number two.
Bell all the way down.
I'm gonna make that motion. Can I do that? Okay, that's what I'm gonna say.
The motion is go for it. Okay.
Amen, bro. All right, Mr. Cooper's made a motion to approve Route 1 with a Route 2 alternate, correct?
Yes.
We need a second. Ray
Yeah,
Usan.
thank you, right.
So Mr. Cooper made a motion, Ray Usan second, all in favor? 5-0.
Something else I can use on those sides.
Item number 18, set time and date for special call meeting of the city council for January 23rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. at City Hall. So eventually, we're gonna go to two council meetings a month, second Monday, fourth Monday. But we're waiting for Doug to get back to write that ordinance, because it's gotta be done by ordinance. And so once Doug, our city attorney, gets back, we won't have to have this. But for now, we do need to have one on the 23rd, a meeting. We'll probably have a workshop prior to that, and then the meeting. We can do same night workshop.
Sure.
That was the workshop for the previous above mentioned item. So. Maybe workshop.
The old days,
Can we also put on the agenda? I'm sure it's not on there tonight because of,
That's future agenda items.
we can't do it on the workshop.
Oh, is it?
I mean, no, never mind.
Just need a motion to for a workshop and a special call meeting on January 23rd. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Gail seconds.
What time would it start?
You got the workshop at 6, meeting at 7.
Was the motion to just approve the special call meeting at that time? And then we can always add the workshop.
The workshop was to discuss the project for the pool projects, the park projects, and then the alcohol.
Do we want to do that to the council meeting?
I'll probably do 4 because the council meeting may take some discussion that may drag on a little bit. And what was the motion? I'm sorry.
What time? And 6 o'clock workshop and a 7 o'clock meeting,
Yes.
January 23rd.
Can you repeat the motion?
And this will be a special call.
Yes. Philip Weaver made a motion for a 6 o'clock workshop with a 7 p.m. special call meeting, January 23rd, 2023. Oh, you. Philip made the motion, Gail Jones seconded. That's it. All in favor? 3-0. A good run, boys. No. Item number 19, discuss and provide staff direction regarding the establishment of 2 regular city council meetings per month. So this must be done by ordinance. So we need a motion to direct attorney to write ordinance for 2 meetings per month.
One will be the regular meeting, the other will be called.
No, they're both going to be regular meetings. That way we don't have to have super quorum and all that. So we got a lot of business in the next, I'd say probably in the next 6 months that we're gonna, because we got so many grants out there and so much engineering, different grants that, like this water development grant, the Safe Routes to School stuff, the CDBG stuff coming down the pipeline. There's so much action going on. It's like we just need to have 2 meetings a month for a good period, because a lot of the stuff has to be council approved. And a lot of it's very time sensitive that can't wait a whole nother month in order to be approved. So there's that. And there's also a lot of ordinances that we need to clean up, a lot of past ordinances that we need to clean up.
2 meetings a month.
2 meetings.
You're gonna change your name to do it.
Working on it. So that's just it. We just need direction to approval.
I'll make the motion that we approve for the attorney on the ordinance.
And that would be the 4th Monday of the month at 7 p.m.
First Monday, or second Monday.
And this is to just discuss and provide direction. So we don't necessarily need action, but I'll just take the input from this meeting and coordinate with city attorney.
So did you want action on that or no? No, it's just discuss.
So just the
Direction.
4th Monday of the month at 7 p.m., just like we have here. And in the meetings where we may not necessarily have as much action items, we can still take that opportunity for a workshop, essentially.
Can we have such talk back to the attorney about the next call meeting? Be able to note that in?
I don't see why not. It's pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. Should be pretty straightforward.
All right, so you got that? Second, 4th Mondays?
Yes, sir.
No executive session? Future agenda items, Ms. Tweeter.
Next meeting, if this could be put on the special meeting, for downtown zoning, remember last month's meeting, we were short 2 days.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, we know.
the reason.
That's why we're having this meeting at the end of the month, because of, Doug wasn't here to write the ordinance.
I don't know,
Yeah, we do,
but we did it.
as usual.
Keep up. More sausage rolls for you.
Carry on,
What?
We're out.
carry on with your
We're out.
list.
Be a future agenda item or not, but I don't think we need to talk about Christmas decorations or stuff like that. We have $5,000 in our budget. Why don't we go ahead and have, if we're looking at 4th of July, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, whatever, let's start making decisions on that stuff now and getting it done, so we're not waiting till the 12th day. We got flag poles across the street, we need flags and brackets, and a lot of things that we
Agreed.
do sooner than later.
So what do you want to call that? So he'll know what to put on there.
Didn't
Pride flag for Phil.
Yeah,
I just put,
I would say this.
Thank you, Phaedra.
You're awesome. Oh, seasonal.
That's why I'm good over there. That's why I'm
Holidays.
good. Listen to me here.
Seasonal decorations. What, did you have anything else on your list? Yes, sir.
You know, I remember with that guy trying to get a phone service and the woman saying it's such a light down that road.
I've blocked that meeting out of my mind.
I know, but I'm just using an example. We still got like the storage area where, what's his name?
Mr. Mitchell?
Yeah, Mr. Mitchell, he still got that one full of shit. He's got the old boat place that's still full of junk. It's even worse, it's a blight.
Mhm.
Even in Texas, they have, if you have something like that, you're supposed to put a fence covering, not just a chain link fence.
Mhm.
But isn't all that kind of in, I don't know the words, litigation or something, I mean, because he was deceased, that now
It
it's
has to do
gone
with the
to
estate or
the
the,
estate.
Yeah, but it's still their responsibility to keep it out there.
one of the, oh, if I can get too much into it, it's not on the agenda, but we can discuss it.
Yeah,
I'll discuss code compliance.
yes, clean up.
At the entrance of town, basically.
There's two of them, he owns it. You buy them from the Dawson? You carry Dawson?
Code compliance cleanups, okay? Anything else, anything else? Yes, you got anything silly you want to put on here? Monthly barbecues? No? Jesse's giving lessons at the library next month on how to smoke brisket.
All right.
Mr. Barbecue, I like it. Okay, is that it?
Is it?
That's it for tonight. Need one last motion, Ms. Cooper?
No, I'm good. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I make a motion to adjourn.
Come on, Dave. You know,
Ms. Cooper's made a motion, Gail Jones seconded.
let's-
We are adjourned at 9:08.
You didn't do this school?
Thank y'all for coming.
Without-
Hope it was enjoyable. We strive for enjoyment here.
Administration building. Right across from the park. You know where the park is, right?
You know which house it is. I want to say, wait a minute, Alan Gilbert and
Alan and Royce Gilbump.
Alan and Royce Gilbert.
Beverly lived there for a while.
TJ and Barbie lived there for a while.
Zimmers, thank y'all. Good seeing y'all.
Oh, right there.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.